Hello beautiful people, it's Steph here if you don't already know, and on this channel I just talk about all things careers and all things lifestyle. And in today's video I'm going to be talking through how I will be setting my 2023 goals. Now I am super excited to record this video. I've been having some great chats on my Instagram and I know people are super interested to see what I do, so I'm just going to get straight into it. But if you like this type of content, please do make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and let's go. Okay, first things first, if there's a particular part of the video that you want to skip to, all of the timestamps are going to be in the description down below, because I understand that we're all at different stages in our goal setting journey. So I don't want you to listen to something that maybe you just already know or it's not relevant for you or whatever. But in terms of like a very quick overview, I'm going to look at what exactly are goals, like what's the definition. In terms of my definition, this is not no scientific definition, but it follows the scientific definition, if that makes sense. Then I'm also going to look at reviewing my 2022 goals, and that's a part of how I will create my 2023 goals. So that's why it's going to be a section on its own. Then I'm also going to look at the categories that I use to set goals, because I kind of set goals by categories. It'll make more sense when I get into it and I show you like my 2022 goals, for example. And then finally, I'm going to go through what I want some of my 2023 goals to be. And I'm actually doing this live, so I don't at this point know what my 2023 goals are. I'm literally, as I record this video, going to make some 2023 goals. So let's see how this goes. First things first, what is a goal? Now, basically, the way I kind of think about a goal, right, is that it's the bigger picture. So if I think about puzzles, I love a good puzzle. When your puzzle is completed and you've got the picture that was like on the front of the puzzle box, that is your goal. Each of the different puzzle pieces are the tasks that you're going to use to help you achieve your goal. So for me, if I've got a goal for the year, I would probably have 12 puzzle pieces, because every month I will have one task that I need to do that's associated with the goal that I've made. And if I achieve all of those tasks, then hopefully I achieve the goal at the end of the year. Does that make sense? So that's kind of how I like think about what goals are. And it kind of also helps you understand what tasks are as well, because like I said, tasks are the puzzle pieces. And it's really important to understand those distinctions, because in this video, we're going to be looking at how to create your bigger picture. So how to create your goals. I'm not necessarily looking at how to create tasks or how to break down tasks when you've got a goal and stuff like that, although I might like touch on it a little bit here and there. But the main focus is like, how are you going to make that bigger picture? Cool. So that's first things first. Second thing to think about is something called white space. Now, the reason why for me white space has been super important, and it's been something I've been doing since like 2019, 2020 is when I really got into it. It helps me create my goals, right? So what exactly is white space? It's basically this understanding of getting into a mindset, getting into a state of mind where you are not thinking about anything, and in not thinking about anything, you then have the space to be able to think creatively. So what does that actually mean? For me personally, it looks like a space or a period of time where I'm not thinking about work, because obviously work takes up a lot of my time. A space or a period of time where I'm not thinking about my businesses, I'm not thinking about creating content, I'm not with my friends, like I need to be by myself, all that sort of stuff. And there are different ways you can do it. You can literally like actually type in on YouTube white space noise, sorry, not white space. You can type in white noise and you can actually like listen to something which helps you kind of wind down your mind and like give you some time, and like you can go on a walk in nature or something like that. For me, I tend to be really good when I'm exercising. So if I go for like a really long walk, if I'm doing some cardio in the gym, something like that, that's really good for me to kind of like power off and not think about what I'm doing. Okay, so with all of that backdrop in mind, the first thing that I would always do is review my previous goals from the previous year, right? Because goal setting is something that I've been doing for years. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to review my 2022 goals, but I'm going to use this to kind of talk through the categories that I use. And I'm also just going to show you like how I save these goals as well, so that they're always visibly in front of me. So let me actually switch to my laptop. I'm going to switch the view so that you can see. So first things first, I've got two things up on my screen, right? Because I just wanted to show you what I have. So what I've got on the left here, I don't even know if this is my left or your left, I don't know. But what I've got on the left here, the my 2022 goals, the purple boxes, blah, blah, blah. This is what I keep as my phone screensaver, because I always want that like reminder of, oh, this is what you're working towards. And obviously I'm always on my phone, do you know what I mean? So it just makes sense. So that's what I keep on my left. And it doesn't necessarily look that pretty, but like, I feel like a vision board is something that you put up in your room, like all that kind of stuff. And sometimes I feel like we need to move with the times. For me, because of how my brain works, this is something that's easy for me to just consistently see on my phone, so it just makes sense to always have it there. So for the purposes of this video, let me go through my Notion. This is my 2022 goals, right? So remember what I said before, in the sense that every goal should be a big picture thing, it's not a task. So I've got here my categories, and I use 8 categories. So the first one is health, the second one is wealth, then I've got spirituality and self-care. I keep them separate, but they do often intertwine, especially when you see some of the tasks that I do with these. They do tend to intertwine, but my faith is separate to like my mental well-being, even though my faith impacts my mental well-being, if that makes sense. Family, personal space, business, and career. Each of the pictures, so here I know the family one doesn't have a picture, I just didn't want to show you guys my family, but there used to be a picture there. But each of the pictures kind of act as my vision board, if that makes sense. So I don't have anything printed out like on my bedside table or on my wall or anything like that. The only thing I have printed out, and I'll talk about this a bit later, but my values, which I keep by my bedside locker. You can't read the values now, but I can put them up on screen if you're genuinely interested. But the only thing I have like printed out is my values. So those are my categories, and each of the goals you can see here. So these are actually the goals that I met and I set for myself in 2022. So I wanted to acknowledge my wins and be mindful. If you go inside, you'll see that I have a couple of different ways that I can achieve this goal. Now, these things are not fixed. For me, these are just things that through the course of some of the white space periods of times that I've had, I've come up with some of these ideas. So for example, I thought it'd be a good idea to get an achievements jar. I think I heard about it on like a podcast or something like that. And like I even have my achievements jar here and it's completely full. So like things like that are just ideas that I had, which I thought would be helpful, but they're not set in stone. So I don't have to do these, but it's more so on a month-to-month basis when I'm setting myself a task in order to achieve the overall goal of acknowledging my wins and being mindful. If I just can't think of anything, I can always go in here and look at some of the ideas that I've put down at the beginning of the year, right? And I always like to try and have at least 2 to 3 ideas to kind of get the ball rolling. And then as the year progresses, I like to be very fluid with my tasks that I set to achieve the goals, because I understand that life happens, things change. I don't want to say definitively that I have to walk for 30 minutes every week and then, God forbid, I break my leg and now I can't go for a walk. Do you get what I mean? So like, the main overall purpose is acknowledging my wins and being mindful, like I put here. And then these points down here are just, if you need some ideas as to the kind of task that you could do, here are some ideas. And I have those for all of them. So like for wealth, I've got some ideas about, investing regularly, using a budget tracker. For spirituality, had some ideas like using a prayer journal, affirmation cards, etc., etc. Cool. The bit underneath, so this is the bit that I personally use to track my goals. I also use on Instagram. Those of you who are here from Instagram, you will know very well that for the past 2 years, I have been doing video reviews of my goals every month. So that is the other way that I keep myself accountable. But I do also keep them on here as well. So I literally just write down each of the goals I have and I tick them if I've done them. I don't tick them if I haven't. Like, it's very simple. So in January of the year, I had to use my budget tracker, did that. I had to start an achievements jar. I didn't start it in January. I actually got the achievements jar in January, if I remember correctly, because my friend got it for me for a birthday present, but I just didn't start with it. Spirituality, had to do a daily prayer vlog and not post it, which I did do, so I was really happy about that. It was just to help me like build up the habit of actually doing a daily prayer vlog. Personal space, I wanted to buy some new stuff. Career, I wanted to start an ESG weekly series using daily emails. I don't even know why I put that as a task. I didn't have the time to do it, but I didn't do it. Etc., etc. So these are just some of the things that I wanted to do, and I just tick if I did them, tick if I don't, right? And then on a month-by-month basis, like I said, using my Instagram lives where I review these live, I then always set new goals as well. So that's kind of what I did for 2022. Now, overall, and I have already said this in my email newsletter and also on Instagram and some other places, I achieved all of my goals for 2022. So I feel like I have acknowledged my wins and I've been very mindful. I feel like I've created really good foundational habits. I feel like I've been good with spending more one-on-one time with God. I've been working on my imposter syndrome. I've been more intentional about family time. I've created a space that I love, both out here in Houston and also at home in London. I've generated more income so it's self-sustaining, and I've been more proactive with my career. This income one, this one is a really interesting one because like I said, I have a couple of businesses, and I put this £50,000 thing, I pulled that number out of thin air. I tell you, there was nothing that said to me, oh, this is the amount that you want to make. I've made that amount. So I'm very like happy when I say I've made that amount, by the way, because I know some people don't necessarily understand how businesses work. There is not £50,000 in my accounts. I just want to put that out there. But I'm saying my businesses have made that amount. So I am happy about that. And that is just something that I just did. And it's kind of the power of visioning, basically, like manifesting what you want to do and all that kind of stuff. So I'll definitely encourage you to like be mindful about the pictures you use. If you do have a vision board that you print out, or if you have a vision board in Notion like I kind of do, just be mindful about the pictures, because they do actually have a way of like coming to pass. Do you get what I mean? So that's that. I'm super happy about my 2022 goals. Fine. Okay, so like I said at the beginning, I am going to be creating my 2023 goals live today. Now, I'm not going to share all of those goals. I just want to disclaim that like from now, so that you know, and at the end you're not like, oh, but you didn't say anything. I'm just going to go through the process of how I'm going to create them, and I'm going to be typing them down, but I'm not actually going to be verbally saying what those goals are. And the reason for this is just because I just don't like to share my goals until I'm actually done with them. I did the same thing last year. Like if you look at my 2022 goals video, I didn't actually say what all of my goals were, but obviously in this video, I have said what all of them are. So next year, you will see what all of them are. Cool. Now, remember I spoke about white space. Now, for me, typically my white space, I usually just like to go for a walk, like somewhere in nature, so maybe somewhere green or something like that. That just really helps me think. And whenever I do that, I obviously always have my phone, right? So if an idea comes to my mind, and it's kind of hard to conceptualize if you haven't created white space for yourself before, but when you do it, you'll find that you just start to think of things that you haven't thought about before. So if an idea pops into my mind, I literally just always have my phone, pop my 3 SIM cards in the back because I'm always in Ghana, the US or the UK. Anyway, I always have my phone and I just write down that idea in the notes app. So I literally have a note that's called ideas, and I just write down the idea there, right? So what I would do as my first point of call, after I have reviewed my previous goals from the year before, and I've kind of decided whether I'm happy with them, all of that kind of stuff. And if you're curious to see like more about the reviews, just head over to my Instagram. I review them every month, so you can see them over there. But after I've done all of that, I would then look at any of the ideas that I've had to see if that kind of sparks some kind of, this is something you could do in 2023. So let me actually give you an example. This is a good one. So one of the ideas I've got on here is 21-day fast for confidence and imposter syndrome. And this is a side note, so you can skip this bit if you want to, but the reason why that's an idea that I put on there is because it kind of dawned on me on one of these walks that I'm going to be qualifying as an associate. Yay! And for me, even though I've been working on imposter syndrome as a trainee, and I do feel like I've gotten to like a good place where I'm managing it quite well, not to say that I don't still experience imposter syndrome, but I do feel like I'm managing it quite well. I'm very aware of the fact that becoming an associate is a different ball game, and there could be imposter syndrome in the sense that, like, again, I'm basically like a 5th seat trainee, right? But like I'm a 5th seat trainee who's expected to have responsibility and know stuff. So for me, I just want to be proactive about managing that before it becomes a problem, essentially. So a good idea, right? For all intents and purposes, it sounds amazing. But before I make that into a goal, because that's not yet a big picture thing, that's just a task. So that's probably going to be one of the ideas that I would put into my Notion, like when I click on the category, you would see that as ways you can implement this art, and that would be there. Do a 21-day fast, right? Cool. Before I create that into a goal though, I would look at my values and I would see, does what I put down as an idea match up with any of the values? So I would look at, building meaningful relationships. Me working on imposter syndrome, does that build meaningful relationships? I mean, I suppose you could technically argue that everything does everything, but like literally, no, it doesn't. So it's not that value. Does it help me build confidence in Black women? Not really. Not if it's my own imposter syndrome that I'm trying to work on. If it's other people's, then fine. But like if it's my own, not really. Mastering my spirituality, does it help me do that? I mean, fasting, getting close to God, yeah, I kind of hear it. It's a bit of a loose one, but I hear it, fine. Continuously learning, not really. Not living my life at the expense of my peace and happiness, a little bit. Like imposter syndrome does affect your mental and stuff like that, so I kind of hear that one. Will it make me successful? Probably, yeah, because it's going to help with my job, right? So you can see there how I've kind of just literally run through each of my values and said whether I feel like it matches up or not. If I feel like it matches up to at least one or more of my values, I would then think about creating that as a goal. So obviously, because it's for me, the reason why I thought about that particular idea was because I was thinking about transitioning from a trainee to an associate. So it would end up being a career goal if I do want it to be a career goal. And actually, now that I'm thinking, I think I do want to create a career goal off the back of that. So if my overall idea is that I want to be more confident, when I'm creating that goal, I'm going to create something about a big picture thing. So it's not a task, but it's going to be something around being more confident in my career, right? Something like that. And that's what I would put down literally as a goal. Let's look at an idea that maybe doesn't make the cut, just so that you can get like a fuller example as well. So if I look at one of the other ones on here, let's do another career one, just so that it's all in the same boat. So another idea I've got on here is go on client secondment. Again, I don't actually remember when I thought about this, but it must have been on a walk at some point, and I don't know, I thought about going on client secondment. Fine. Again, I would look at all of my values. So if I whiz through it real quick, meaningful relationships, not really, not in the way that I want meaningful relationships, by the way. I know going on secondment does build relationships in terms of your legal network, but that's not what I was talking about when I made these values. So for me, no. Building confidence in Black women, again, mastering spirituality, it's something, it's not a religious thing. Continuously learning, not living my life at the expense of my peace and happiness, not really anything to do with that. Successful, not really anything to do with that. So I would then argue that because that doesn't align with any of my values, this is not going to form one of my 2023 goals. Now, hear me carefully. The fact that something doesn't form one of my 2023 goals doesn't mean that I won't do it in 2023. Let me say that again. The fact that something doesn't form one of my new year, new me, these are my New Year's resolutions, it doesn't mean I will not actually do it in that year. Why do I say that? The whole reason why I personally have goals, and I feel why a lot of people kind of have goals and vision boards and things like that, is because you have a path that you envision for yourself in life, right? So for some people, it might be that you want to be a millionaire by 30. It might be that you want to retire your parents in the next 5 years. It might be that you want to stop working. Like whatever it is that you want to do, you've kind of seen a life for yourself. And on that journey, you envision different things that you can do to help you get there. And part of that is goal setting, because it helps you kind of dream big, think about how you can become better, and you take the steps to get there, right? The steps being the tasks. That is a part of my life, but there are obviously other parts of my life as well, and things do evolve and change. So whilst I'm in work, for example, I could just be told I'm going on secondment. Like it doesn't have to be a goal for me to do it, for me to then end up doing it. Do you get what I mean? So I'm not going to focus on it as a goal. It's not a goal that I need to set for myself, but it's something that might still end up happening. That's the point that I'm getting at. So kind of be comfortable with not having 21 different goals, because I don't think you need 21 different goals. I just have 8 goals a year, and I get very happy when I achieve those 8 goals. I have 1 goal per category. Life is easy for me. Do you get what I mean? Like, do things like that, and that just makes things a bit better. So that's an example of something that I'm not going to turn into a goal. All that being said, I am now going to make my 2023 goals. So let's get into it. This literally took me like 2 hours. So once I stopped recording, and obviously you can see like this B-roll that you're watching now as you're listening to me. Once I stopped recording, it literally took me 2 hours to just be in the zone. So I went through all of the different ideas that I had on my note. I had quite a few ideas because obviously I've been doing this white space thing over the course of the whole of 2022. So I have a lot of ideas in there. Evaluated them against my values, like I explained in the examples I gave before, and then decided what categories they fit into in terms of the 8 categories of goals that I have. And then just created goals off the back of that. So yeah, it takes a long time to do. You definitely have to kind of set aside time to make your goals for the year if it is truly something you want to do. The other 2 really quick points that I wanted to make, first of all, a couple of name changes in my categories. So it's no longer family, it's now relationships. This is actually something I thought about like earlier on in the year. I just never got around to changing it. So now that I'm actually doing my 2023 goals, I've changed it because it encompasses like my friends and all that kind of stuff. And then also in terms of name changes, personal space is not actually personal space, it's personal. It's just because of the goal that I had, it was in relation to my personal space, but typically the category is just personal. And then the final point I wanted to make was just about accountability. I think one of the main things that really makes achieving goals like this really super easy for me, if I'm being honest, is the fact that I hold myself accountable publicly. So i.e. the monthly reviews that I do on Instagram Live, but I also have like friends who help me out with some of these goals as well. So that just really works for me. So try accountability if you feel like some of your goals are not working. But if you like this type of content, please do make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back soon with another video. Happy New Year.